world famous Good Brother.
Talking Shop, welcome. If you're listening to it on audio, you hear the song that Deez has put in there through more of the Falcons Nesters, Daniel Dominguez music. If you're watching on YouTube or the Patreon, you see the pretty good video that Deez made. That it's got a couple of us owls dancing with owl heads. And I know hoot is a staple of Talking Shop. The word hoot or the nickname hoot is a staple of Talking Shop if you've been listening to Talking Shop for the past over a decade. But it's not used as frequently anymore. And so when you see us dancing with owls, you're thinking, well, what the fuck is that? And you might be thinking, what is a hoot? Why do they use the word hoot, which we don't really use it as often anymore because we've evolved. But the funny thing about that is I saw Robert Gibson, the original Hoot, this past weekend in Corbin, Kentucky. I am Karl, the Machine Gun Anderson, Talking Shop. Good morning, and I'm joined by one of my good pals inside this insane wrestling business, someone I've been wanting to catch up with so much. He's my wrestling scientist. He's a broadcast journalist that is on the rise, on the explosion. It's so good to see you here, Joe. And I'm not just being a broadcast journalist myself saying that. I really genuinely appreciate you taking the time to step into Talking Shop because, you know, God forbid my co-host would ever join with me, Gallows, when we're not inside the beautiful new studio. I guess we have so much to get caught up on and so much to talk about, Joe. I'm glad that we can do it right here live. Good morning.
Good morning, mate. And I kind of realized when that studio was built, I said, I'm going to be doing a lot of these StreamYard ones because Gallows is never using StreamYard again.
No, it's over. And Gallows is not only not using StreamYard ever again, I'm not even going to ask him to use it ever again. Because, I looked over at his old office or his old podcasting area, and I saw the computer shut. I saw the throne has been moved into the studio, and I went, all right, well, wow. Talking Shop is mine from now on if we're not there. But it's funny because the Georgia independent wrestling scene and my Delta flights go through Atlanta so much that we've been able to through the rest of this year, we've got recordings for Talking Shop inside the studio planned out. And now we're going to do 3 and 4 at a time, and we're going to start knocking them out. And then when we need a little more current stuff, I'm going to call on the great Joe Hulbert, and we'll get to it because there's a lot going on in the wrestling world, Joe.
Too much.
I mean, there's too much. I mean, my wife shows me this morning. She goes, "Did you know Avery went to TNA?" And I went, "Well, my gosh!" And then I didn't want to bring that up right away, but at some point we'll talk about that today. I mean. There's so much going on. And the Nick Buck, I'm wearing a Super Elite jersey, which I didn't even realize because I saw that it was in my closet. I wore the Super Elite jersey from the COVID days, and Nick Buck sent me a picture of himself in France, and I said, with his family, and I go, "What are you doing in France?" And then he didn't get back to me yet, and I kind of figured, well, maybe there's a pay-per-view coming up soon. And I'm all over the place, Joe.
It has to be the most loaded schedule in the States in terms of national wrestling since the late 90s. It has to be. I mean, every weekend there's a pay-per-view. Right? I mean, this past weekend, you would say was a quiet weekend by comparison. You had a Ring of Honor show Friday and a TNA show Sunday. Like, it's even then you had big shows. So it's crazy, yeah.
And that's 2 pay-per-views. So those pay-per-views, or are they called PLEs, or what do they do?
I don't know anymore, to be honest with you. AEW does pay-per-view, WWE does PLE. Everyone in between, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, how do you watch the Ring of Honor pay-per-view? Do you pay for it and buy it and watch it on a streaming platform?
So you're opening a can of worms here. So in the UK, I watch it on my AEW, which is like they're kind of
Okay.
building their own WWE Network type thing, and Ring of Honor makes sense as part of that, right? I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea I'm watching the States. I think Honor Club is its own subscription. So I guess in some ways it's a PLE, I guess.
That's it. That's it. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's like what I was saying. So I forgot the My AEW app even. So
Yeah.
like I was explaining this, and I don't know that we've said this out loud on Talking Shop, but why not just say it now? It's just because Talking Shop was close on 3 different occasions to going on Sirius Radio. And again, I don't know if this will make any headlines or not. It shouldn't. I don't care if it does, but it does or doesn't. It doesn't matter. It's just a true fact. Talking Shop was going to have an hour on the Pro Wrestling Nation. Good Brothers might be coming in and doing hosts, and then things went, and then we had 3 of those conversations, and it went on a freeze because obviously WWE bought the channel or whatever they did, and now it's a WWE radio. Not that us not coming would have been a WWE thing, whatever, because we're kind of WWE guys too. We're kind of everything. But I actually just texted when I saw the WWE radio news come out. I texted the Young Bucks and go, well, perfect chance for my AEW app to take Talking Shop to the, turn into Talking Shop's home, and they just laughed, and I don't know how much, stroke they have there anymore, or no, they have stroke, or how much they care anymore about the stuff that they're not doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they are going to have some kind of like shoulder programming with podcasts and stuff, I think. So this may be a thing. I don't know. It's the streaming market is different now. Right, I do feel, and I've been bullish on this for a while, I think the tape library game is going to become a big topic of the remainder of this decade. I can't fathom the idea that the people at TKO value, like, the Mid-South library. And then, in that case, does that mean it ends up on my... You know what I'm saying? Like, do we see transfers? It could happen, right? It's in theory, anyway.
That's such a good point because I saw the TKO guys. I know the TKO guys. They could give a rat's ass about professional wrestling in that sense. They care about, like... And then not just the TKO guy, whatever it is. It's just wrestling, especially if you're living from the past, those guys aren't going to care about what came before them in those small territory days, which Tony Khan does care about that stuff.
Right, and I mean, it sounds crazy, but the truth is, if Tony Khan had an interest in those properties, in those libraries, that would be only the second person to sit at that table and have an interest that can really, financially can... So it's just as interesting. I mean, I think WCW and ECW are protected because that's part of their... Monday Night Wars, But before that, I mean, I have no idea how they value that stuff because the network doesn't exist now. They have their Adobe Vault on YouTube, and it's very, very interesting times in that regard, to be honest.
Well, Joe, it's interesting times. Now, we had a big weekend this past weekend. I mean, a really big weekend. And I want to be as truthful and honest about it as absolutely possible because everything can always get what do you say? Convoluted? What's the word?
Convoluted
because people could say, well, they're full of shit. They lied about this. There was nobody there. This that happened, or I could say there was 19,000 people there, or the Triller feed was perfect, or it was on pay-per-view. But listen, this past weekend in Corbin, Kentucky, it was FTR versus the Good Brothers, and man, when I say that, it brought back so many memories of why I enjoy working and wrestling guys like that. And there's not many guys like that, but to be able to wrestle a team like FTR at that level, it brought back memories of how much I love to do what I do, even though this last year has also brought back this renewed love of what I do for a totally different reason. But to be in a ring with guys that hit hard, that grab hard, that go hard, that it was fucking pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it's untrained eye, just as a fan. Those are guys that play your music, right? And as soon as you locked up with Dax at the start, it was like you guys just picked up back where you were, 7 years ago.
Yeah. And there's so much competition between us too, and like we talked about it a little bit. It was fun to sit in the locker room and talk with Dax and Cash. And of course, calling him Dax and Cash was hard because I've always called him Dawson and Dash, but I've broken away from that now where it is Dax and Cash. But just sitting in the locker room with them and talking about what they're up to at AEW and what we're up to, and like we're both happy for each other, and then talking about how, you know, he was saying when we were in Japan, a lot of tag teams at the time, you know, not everybody wanted to admit it, but they were kind of, I don't want to use the word jealous, but something about what we were doing, because we were having so much fun with what we were doing and being so loud with what we were doing that people were getting sick of hearing about us. And they were at NXT making their names big and making them loud, and we're sick of hearing about them because we think we're the best, and they were sick of hearing about us, and they thought we were the best, and it was such a competitive nature. And then finally to be able to come together and then have the competition that we had with if you go to Joe Hulbert's Late Night Grin, you can see the Tokyo tapes all about that. But to be able to talk about all of that and then bring it all together this week and kind of bring up some memories and how close we all are now, it just was a pretty fucking cool weekend. And to be able to sit with those guys like that was so much fun, Joe.
I was just happy it happened. You know, the big LG, I was very thankful. He wanted my involvement, and I sent in that preview deal, but I didn't want to crowd it, to be honest, because it was most about you guys getting a chance to just do it again. Because who knows, that could be the last time, right? It could not be too. I mean, it's wrestling, but
sure.
I think it's just cool to see you guys get the opportunity to do that, because you were both there in a really weird WWE era, and you shared matches in that era, and I think it was nice to be able to do it somewhere else and a more relaxed environment, obviously.
So is that how it's going to be looked at, those teen years as a weird era? And we kind of know why now, because we used to always look over at Gorilla. We'd always look over. Everyone looked at Vince McMahon, no matter what. You're always looking over at who the fuck is in charge over there. Like now, you got Hunter and Bruce, and who's sitting, maybe whatever agent is sitting there. But the main guys are there, or Ed Koski's over there. But it was usually Vince, maybe Hunter, and then Ed Koski, or however the situation would go. But you always look over, and you'd always see Vince on his phone, and you'd think he's doing all these fucking business deals. But now we know what Vince, where Vince's brain was, and maybe you think back and think, well, that's why the booking was so absolutely asinine during that time. So it makes you wonder if. You wonder if that's why that era is going to be. You said it. Yeah. Weird.
The biggest appeal to me of doing the Tokyo tape was that the match happened in June 2019, which I think you could legitimately argue that time is alongside like 95 as the bottom out of WWE. I really believe that in terms of quality. What now? There's elements today that you could debate, but quality wise, I want to stress. I think that was the point. I think you guys were in WWE for like the modern equivalent of the new gen. You know, the new gen era with times of change and quieter crowds that were kind of going, what is happening right now? But what I think makes it interesting is if you look at the matches in that time we're talking about, and I've spoke to Cash about this, and he's pretty bullish on it. Like that roster, late 2010s WWE roster was ridiculous, dude. Yeah. I mean, Brian comes back to the ring. You've still got AJ, Joe, Cena, Orton, the tag teams. Like, ridiculous.
You got Shinsuke Nakamura there ready to rock and roll. I mean, in his prime.
Insane. It was an all-star team, and they did not have an all-star record.
You just didn't even know where to begin. And they did, and you have to be 100% honest about this too. And I don't know how people will even take it, but they didn't even 100% want me and Gallows there, and as in the WWE. Yeah. And they didn't even 100%. They weren't dying for like the AJ Styles to come in either. Like AJ had to fight his way through all of that. And I mean, and we saw and I think someday we'll get into the AJ Styles retirement and why that happened, where that went, what we know about it, etc. But you kind of see that we had to fight we barely got in there as it was anyway, and then we're doing these battles with the stars that they wanted to push. And then there was, because they didn't want us. We had to get there and fight for it.
I think people, when they hear this, they take it as more sinister than it is, but I think it's just the reality, right? They were signing people because it was part of taking the market share. I mean, and I think when people hear that, they're like, oh, no way. It's like, that's just the way it is. I mean, Bullet Club was hot, and they needed to take some Bullet Club guys, and that was that, right?
It's the 100%. I even would say that, I don't think Paul Levesque would ever admit this, but I mean, I think he was very instrumental in, flying to Tokyo, Japan and teaming with us in Tokyo, Japan. And funny enough, making us agree on a contract that kept us from going to AEW by teaming with us in my favorite arena of all time in Japan. I mean, there's reasons for that stuff. You make signs, you sign people so they don't go to the competition.
Absolutely. And I think, we don't need to get too far in the weeds on this, but I think a good example of this is some of the releases that followed your group in the pandemic. I'm talking 2021. Worth looking at those lists. They got very particular about releasing people they knew were not going to go elsewhere. Yeah. And that's something a lot of people missed, but it was 100% the case. Like, the bigger names they would cut were guys that were not not Tony Khan, like, wish list guys, to put it that way. And we don't need to name names, but it's all tactical, right? It's all tactical, yeah.
And it's like this, though, Joe. You don't like American football, right?
Not really, no.
You like it when people don't talk about it. But we enjoy it here in America, and football is back. And if you love American football, you got to go to mybookie.ag, use the code word GoodBrothers, and place a bet. Because whether you've been betting for years or you're just looking to put a little action on the game, mybookie.ag is where we're playing. I'll be sharing some of the spots I'm looking at along the way, but you don't need to be an expert or blindly tail on anybody. Just find a play you like and take a shot. That's why we like mybookie.ag. You can find the action you want, bet it wherever you are when the game kicks off. And if you're new to the club, the bet back bonus gives you protection on your first play. Sign up with the promo code GoodBrothers at mybookie.ag and opt into the bet back bonus and take your first shot with a safety net. Because if your first wager is a loss, you'll get it right back, no questions asked. Listen, football is finally here. Get in now and cash in on the season with mybookie.ag. Bet on anything, anytime, anywhere. Well, Joe, since you don't bet on football, you can go bet on some soccer. You can make bets on WWE there as well.
Yep. I do need to gear up for the NBA season. I am an NBA fan, so we can do something with that later down the line. But I will say,
you can do a lot of that.
Yeah, absolutely. LeBron's on my Sixers now. We can talk about this other time. But yeah, that's crazy, right?
What if, as a basketball, as an all sports kid growing up, I loved all sports too. And when NBA Live 95, NBA Live 96 came out, I mean, those were monumental games for my childhood. Right. I mean, and then, you could trade the players where you wanted them to go. And then each year you had the new, you had the Shaq, when Shaq went to the Lakers, and that was the first year that he had left the Magic, and I had that on the video game. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you just live for. And my first thought, I told my son, I went, man, I can't wait to play with the Sixers now, because I do follow LeBron. I've just been, he came out of the league. He came into the league when I was just starting wrestling, and so
yeah,
it's wild.
Insane longevity. I was truly expecting you to do like a sort of Jim Ross like football analogy then, and that was not where you were going. Very good, very good promotional work.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. Well, Joe, what the hell has been up with you? Like I know, because we were going to talk about last week, and you were once again. You were too busy for me. I was like, where has Joe been doing? What have you been up to? Because the late night grin is something that, well, man, once I can start signing deals, once I've got it written right here on my vision board, I will have my own Sirius radio. And then all of a sudden, I almost went on Sirius radio. Yeah. But I don't know if I'm supposed to have a boss. I don't know if the universe or if God or whatever you believe in. I don't know if I don't know if he wants me to have a boss. And I think I'm going to be my own boss for a long time. But when I have my own Sirius radio, I'd love to talk to Late Night Grin about it, Joe.
Absolutely. Everybody's got a price, right? No,
everybody's got and I love that. Yes, of course.
Yeah. I try and stay busy. Late Night Grin is one thing, but then I do stuff with Wrestle Period, so I do stuff with Self-Made. Like last night we did a Self-Made deal that was very, very successful, and I was thankful beyond that. So I'm trying to stay. My biggest thing now at this point, I've been doing this now, basically a decade now I've been doing this. And my biggest thing is you just got to be consistent, right? Like, it's weirdly, I'm the one athletic bone in my body, but it's the athlete mentality of never too high, never too low. I do streams sometimes, and you kind of leave it and go, man, didn't really like that one. Then you go again tomorrow, right? That's the game. Like, you got to keep going. So that's the way I operate. Yeah, it's of course, and I compare it to like this. I had this high, man, when I was in Tokyo. We did 26 minutes with the Jonetsu guys in Korakuen Hall, right? I had this high during it. I was like, oh man, this is fun, right? And soon as the 1, 2, 3 hit, I felt it. Here we go. I got a couple of the reactions I wanted. Boom, the 1, 2, 3 hit, and I immediately, my high was gone, and I went, well, now I got to get on a long flight home. Yeah.
All right. Well, what's next weekend? I mean, I'm thinking about that in core. I had not even got to enjoy what just felt like a real super high. And like, so yeah, I promise you, I understand what it feels like. And I wonder if sometimes that was why I almost turned to drinking at times, because when I had that high inside Korakuen Hall, which I had many times, I'd leave Korakuen Hall and the high is still there, and then we'd go to to eat Japanese food, and then you catch a big buzz and the high is still there. Holy shit, Then you get to the airport and you go to sushi and you're drinking at sushi and the high is still going. Then when the high comes down on the flight, you go, well, this sucks,
Yeah, I think that's just the challenge of doing anything for a long time. And obviously you've got me beat 10 times over in that regard. But I do think the challenge is like realizing you're never going to do anything that actually satisfies you forever. Ever. Like I did, we talked about it on Talking Shop, but in April we had MJF on. It's like, and I recorded it and I went, that's going to be big. And it was big. And then the next week I was like, right, now what do I do?
Now what's next?
Exactly. So I think that's what makes, crazy people continue to be crazy. So I'm busy, but I will say, and this is a little teaser because we're getting some promotional material worked on. You and I are working on something, right? We're going to have something here soon that's more of a concrete thing, which we find a little collaboration, which should be cool.
I can't wait. I mean, let's just talk about it. I mean, since we're trying to get this Talking Shop network rocking, getting it going, and then Joe and I we talk so well together and we work so well together. It was like, man, we've got to do something. Joe's a great wrestling mind. I usually have takes, people like him or don't like him, but I've usually got a take or an opinion on something, and I can usually verbalize it pretty well. Right. And we've got kind of the same opinions on things. It was like we're working on a podcast or a.
It's kind of both, right? Yeah.
Something. We're working on an entity. We're working on an entity together. Where Hulbert and the Machine Gun are going to come together and talk about stuff. Really good. Really good stuff. Some of my New Japan Pro Wrestling time. Shit that Joe finds interesting. I'm looking forward to it, Joe.
Yeah, I think it's the best way to kind of say up for now, because I think when we give the name, people will get it even more. But you have, and we've joked this a million times on the air and off, you have absolutely convinced the wrestling world that your career exclusively lived and died on the G1 final in 2012. And we are going to, in a roundabout way, highlight, you actually did a lot of cool shit across this last 20 plus years. So that's the plan, yeah.
For sure. Gallows' son goes, hey, I watched a match with you and I can't remember who he said. Somebody from Japan. Let's just say Goto. He goes, I watched a match with you and Goto from like 2014 or something. He goes, man, Chad, you were really, really good. And I go, hold on a second, Kate. I'm still really, really good, pal. It's just this is a different time. And he goes, well, how come you didn't do something like that, on Raw? And it was like, well, it's not that I didn't get to do that or wanted to. It's just, I had a couple singles matches on Raw, and you're not really given that direction to do these things. And you've got TV time, and it's 12 minutes, and whatever it is. But I can still enjoy myself. I just had a good match with Andrade recently. There's a lot of history that we can get to.
Yes.
And not just about me, but about dude, New Japan Pro Wrestling wrestling was hot. I watched when AJ Styles came in. Yeah. I watched, Prince Devitt's whole entire rise. I mean, I can give you my opinions on all that stuff. I watched Tanahashi have his most phenomenal year ever when he probably should have had 2 knee surgeries, but instead he fought through it all. And because he wanted to continue that amazing run, and now he's paying for it dearly now. But I wonder if he, has regrets. I mean, there's so many things that we can get to on such an important time of wrestling history. Yeah,
and we'll go beyond that, before that, I'm sure, eventually, and all that good stuff. So it'll be fun. But it is interesting you mentioned that. I do think wrestling fans today struggle with the idea that someone is more or less than the end product of how many 4-star matches they have at the end of the year, because that is very opportunity based. You was never sent out on Raw with the instruction of have a just absolute show stealing singles. That was not your role, right? So
I guess you could say there's that time, you could say that speed match with Andrade, right? You could say that I bust into Hunter's door into his office and say, I want all 3 of these minutes. And I want to show you what I got. Is that where I live and die on that sword, or do I do what I'm told and lose in 13 seconds, and then everyone says I'm a lazy piece of shit or whatever? I mean, not whatever you want to say, but there was a time when it was written into a Monday Night Raw match: John Cena versus Carl Anderson, 2 segments. I mean, we had 13 minutes. And John had it changed to 3 minutes where he just beats me up and then he hits me with his finish, but then we break it up and the club stands over him. Yeah. And I took a lot of heat for that too. Oh, he got his ass beat, whatever. But it wasn't that Cena went in and changed it for whatever reason. It just, the way John explained it, it made a ton of sense for the story. Yeah. And where do you live and die on the sword? Maybe that is part of my fault where I didn't fight with him about that or go battle about that. I listened to, one of the greatest of all times give me his reasoning for it and go great. And there you go. And I wonder sometimes where do you draw that line? Where do you go fight for things? Where do you not? And that's kind of just, it's just part of the business. And it is what it is.
I don't know. It's such a complicated subject because I think when wrestling fans think of someone being political, they think of WrestleMania main event campaigning to win title. But there's so much more to it than that in terms of as you said, what hills you're dying on, what kind of inches you're fighting for. I don't know. I mean, I do think there's something said for any of us as fans. The eye test still matters. I wasn't surprised at all that when you guys had the time to do it in Noah, you had the match you had, because I've been talking to you and I was like, you're sharp right now. You wasn't having the matches that are going to be on year-end lists, right? Because that wasn't what you were supposed to be doing on those shows. You're having wrestling matches, but the eye test still tells you everything, I think. So, I don't know.
Yeah, no, 100%. Joe, have you been watching MLW?
I have been keeping up with it somewhat loosely, I will admit. The taping schedule is challenging because obviously I'm aware of what you guys are doing, and then I see it months later. I will say it actually kind of loops around. The time is long enough that it loops around to feeling fresh again, because you get things that are weird as Corbin's wrestling you guys.
Exactly. And I think that makes it, and that's what I think makes it look kind of cool.
I agree. And I'll say this, man, these have got to be the best crowds they've ever had in terms of atmosphere. I mean, I think in terms of attendance too, but atmosphere easily. I mean, they're hot, these crowds.
That's been probably the number one takeaway from our MLW time, besides just kind of, reigniting our friendship and working relationship with Court Bauer, which has been always was good, which he's the originator of Talking Shop. But Dude, the crowds and they're responsive, and these are long television taping days, and these crowds are not paid. They're sticking around and they're being loud. It's wild.
They're a really interesting kind of case study too, because they're not, sometimes you watch an indie show and they're a very particular type of fan.
Yeah.
The MLW fan absolutely feels like the fan that has been priced out of Raw or SmackDown and just wants to see the wrestling. Like the way they react to you guys is very noticeable, or the way they react to Cross, for example, Shotzi.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing, and I think it does speak to, there is at least a gap in the live event market, even if maybe not necessarily in the TV market right now for that third promotion, because TNA's trying, but it's, there's a lot of work to do. Interesting times for sure, yeah.
It was in MLW is one of the main promotions that where people are always talking about constantly evolving and trying something new and changing your characters, and for over the last year we've even in Maple Leaf you could see that we tried to do this little thing that we always enjoyed doing as kind of a quote unquote preacher type deal, which we've used to pop the boys with it a lot at Impact back in the day, and it's just kind of trying to morph into something different. And we were attempting that at MLW. We attempted it over the last year, and then MLW is one of the main shows that where the fans just continued wanting to do the Too Sweet chant and just get the Good Brothers for what the Good Brothers are. And that was what we noticed all over the world. And so we're just riding with it until the people are done with it, I guess.
I think the issue with attempting to reset and reboot and do something new was people hadn't seen the Good Brothers in so long, because you wasn't the Good Brothers for very long at all in WWE again, right? I mean, it was... Yeah. You were really featured for a few months, and then after that, things happened we don't get into. But yeah. So it's been a while. Yeah,
that's true. So it feels like they're happy to see us again and happy to get us out there. But dude, this is where when I finally do get my own Sirius radio, Joe, and there is this beautiful budget. I'm gonna get you to all these new Talking Shop lives that we're having. I got to get you to the studio, the beautiful new studio where we don't have big guests. Well, we have a guest planned next week, which I don't mind announcing soon, but the kind of guest we have in there is our, Deez, our production guy, who is just an indie wrestler in middle of Georgia. But Talking Shop Live on September the 11th is at the Windjammer in Charleston, South Carolina. We've got to stay. We've got an hour. This is our first true concert hall. We've got it. We've got the stage for a whole entire hour at the Windjammer in Charleston, South Carolina. We're going on live before a band that's playing down there. You can go to Windjammer, WINDJAMMERIOP.com and get tickets. They're only $10. We're gonna warm up the band. So and there's already tickets selling. The Windjammer's already happy about it, Court was telling us. And I go, this is because, I don't think any Talking Shop Live's ever drawn worth of shit ever. So it'll be fun to actually have one. And then September 12th, you got a live MLW show in Charleston, which is now the home of MLW.
Yeah, which is awesome, by the way. I will admit that 40% of the appeal of MLW is when they did the announcement that they had moved to the Carolinas officially, which is tremendous.
And it's been... And again, it speaks to that too. We had a big creative talk with Court. We were like, we just something needs to change and this and that. And he goes, guys, listen, I agree with you, but especially down here in the South, it just ain't happening. Let's just ride this out for a while. And we go, come on, Court. We're just trying to switch it up. But even Court wouldn't let us. So
yeah, they want to see the Good Brothers, man. That's what they want to see.
WindjammerIOP.com. Go there, get a ticket. Did you get a chance, Joe, as we kind of wind down here, did you get a chance to check out the studio?
I did.
Talking Shop studio?
It's a little bit unsettling to see such a professional presentation, to be honest.
Of course, with it. It is fitting, though, that the first one from there, the mics weren't hooked up.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Right.
But, it looks good, though.
But then here's another funny part is take two, we said, listen, we we've got to make sure these mics are hooked up, D's. He hooks them up. Sounds good. He goes, yep, don't worry. Trust me. I said, all right, great. We do it. I listened to it. I'm listening back to it, and me and Gallows sound incredible. I said, oh, D's did an amazing job. Then D's sounds a little faint. I go, D's, what the fuck's wrong with your mic? I thought they were all hooked up. He goes, oh, yeah, that mic's not real good, so it didn't pick up as much. I go, D's, you got to tell us this stuff. What is it? He's the greatest of all time, isn't he?
It's tremendous. And I will say, it does make for a hell of a clip. When you see the clip on your socials and you see the studio, it's like, oh, here they go. Busted open.
The algorithm hasn't really picked it up yet. And I think it looks so ridiculous that anybody knows the Good Brothers. It's like, hold on a second. What are they up to? Let me click on this. I got to check out what the hell they're up to,
The algorithm always, I saw, I don't know if you guys saw the numbers that the stuff with CJ did. But when he did his MLW debut, it had like 3,000 likes and stuff. It catches, right? It's wild.
It's incredible. I'm so glad that CJ Gallows, the debut of CJ Gallows in MLW has aired. And dude, he's got, and I don't mean to be biased or whatever it is, but I've been out recently and I've seen these kids out there, and man, he's got if he just continues riding the way he's riding, dude, he's a good-looking kid too. Like, he's got great blonde hair. He's taller than me, and I'm like, hold on a second, this is great. I can finally give Gallows another partner for a while, and maybe at the end of my career, I can try to have another run.
I got to see. I was kind of doing two things at once, but I got to see most of his match with Chris Adonis. Who, by the way, I'm so glad he's still just like at it, true pro wrestler. And I was talking about this on the air on the weekend. He's one of those guys who got like branded as a body guy who didn't love wrestling, and it's totally the opposite. He was a wrestling fan who happened to have a great physique, right? And he's still going, and yeah, awesome.
And no one has any idea that he was like a true wrestling fan. And, and he hasn't had he never got on with someone else somewhere. Like, he never got another deal or anything, but he's continued staying active, and he's done fine. He's done well.
Yeah.
And he never quit.
He's one of those guys who I think it's fair to say is like wrestling really, he probably deserved a little better from wrestling, right? Hopefully he's still going, right? But yeah, I'm with you. I always was stunned. The amount of guys that got multiple shots on TV that he didn't always stunned me, to be honest, because it's been years now and he's still going and doing his thing.
And he's good. I hope he gets some kind of other run doing something somewhere somehow. I'm glad that he never quit either. But we have to get to this though.
Yes.
Like our final take, our final thought. Who knows how long it takes? But I saw the clip. I didn't know that it was real. Again, I didn't know that there was a pay-per-view this weekend, but we got to talk about it. It's one of the. It might go down as one of the greatest. It might go down as one of the most talked about debuts in history of wrestling for anybody, right? Just because of who he is and where it happened, and the debut of Avery Styles.
Yeah. It's one of those stories that I didn't see people outright predicting it, but it's one of those things that immediately makes sense, right? You kind of do the maths on it and go in every which direction. Yeah, that adds up. Really intrigued to see how he fares, because I think that is a good spot in the sense that there's vacancies there, right? I think there's openings there. And so it'll be interesting. I guess my main intrigue is the pace of his rollout. Like, do they just go with him, or do they take it slow? I'm interested. Yeah,
I'm interested too. So I watched it. I'm glad. I'm happy for him. I'm proud of him. He's a really, really good kid. He's came under some fire over the last couple of weeks because of stuff that, like I said a couple weeks ago, was a complete non-issue that just kind of snowballed into something that didn't need to snowball into. And we all know that I know about internet snowballing, for crying out loud. And
That makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, one time I thought it was funny backstage at New Japan to say that I only try hard when the lights are bright, and people came at me with death threats. I said, all right, I got to quit joking so much, I think,
Yeah, that was a hell of a year of the machine gun Twitter snowballing.
It was some of my greatest times. Again, I wish I would have enjoyed that journey a little more because I was having a good time. I just came off like I wasn't, but I was,
The bright lights thing was funny because it was, for people that watched the first go around in New Japan, it was totally, like, you did stuff like that every week at press conferences, but it wasn't, people didn't pay attention then, right? So it was like, when you did it in 2022, people said, what did he just say? Holy shit. I mean, it was hilarious.
I mean, I said that stuff for years, but I can't wait to see what he does. It'll be interesting, what they write for him. That's a great way to wonder too. What are they going to do with him right away? What is he going to do? Does he go out next week? Does he go like when TNA first signed that deal in 2002 or 3 with Fox Net Sports or whatever it was? And I remember match 1. I still remember match 1 at, I think it started at 3 p.m. I can't remember the time, but I mean, match 1 was AJ Styles. That was what they did with him, right? That's how they wanted to present TNA. So do they next week? Is it match 1? Is it Avery Styles in a 7-minute match with somebody? Do they send them out and have them do promos? It's just, I'm interested in the rollout. I wish he was on the road with us for another 6 months, 9 months, 10 months. I was even saying that. I wish he could just go wrestle with me and Gallows everywhere we go and just give little snippets of what we can teach him and then roll him into what he wants to roll into. But here we go now, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of the advantages of TNA, I think, is there are a lot of veterans still in that locker room, right? Which I think should help. And that's going to be the interesting thing too, is like, are they going to program him with guys that are younger? Or are they going to program with guys that have been around and, can kind of shape and steer him? There's options there. And look, there's always going to be public interest because AJ and TNA, he is TNA, AJ Styles, right? And it's crazy. He had such a long run in WWE. People don't even think of it that way. They just think of him as TNA still, really, in a lot of ways, right? So there's interest in that. And I think there's obviously a natural narrative there. It's just the pace of which that narrative plays out is interesting for sure. There's no rush. There shouldn't be a rush anyway because he's so young.
There shouldn't be any rush at all. And if you and me are booking, we're not rushing it.
No.
Yeah, and what let's see. If Karl Anderson is the head booker right now of TNA, what do? Well, I'd beg AJ Styles to come out of retirement. Right? Never mind. I can't even see. I can't fantasy book. Fuck. Now, what kind of fantasy booking am I doing? What kind of money do I have to do this with? I would probably, I don't know that I would have him doing backstages or coming out and doing promos and, because he's such an electrifying athlete. Like I would want him to do stuff in the ring, but then I don't want to do it too quick. And, I don't know. Shit. That's why I'm glad it is book.
I got to say, while we're on the booking committee, I think it'd be a smart idea for a lot of these promotions to say, I'm not going to do the backstages anymore. The backstage thing has become a...
Please.
You guys aren't actors, man, Like, it's... you're pro wrestlers, you can cut promos, but acting's different. I don't know. That's just me personally.
I think the backstage, quote-unquote, segments, acting segments, those things should be gone, wiped out. Yeah. I'm a massive fan still because I love a 35, 45 second minute promo of the guy asking backstage and the guy's looking directly into the camera, or whatever. But the acting, I don't even mind if a guy busts in during the promo and they have a little segment there or a little talking there. Mm-hmm. But the full-blown acting thing, that's got to stop in pro wrestling. And I'm looking forward to seeing the first company that does it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember vividly Nick Aldis making this point, actually, before when he was in the promotional push for Power, where they brought back the studio promo. And he said the promos people most rewatch, if you take The Rock and Austin off the ball, because they're exceptions, right?
Yeah.
They're 1-2 minute interviewer alongside them, Dusty, Flair, whoever in NWA, and Yesteryear. So I think people underestimate how much time 2 minutes is to get your point across in a promo. It's a lot of time.
And I don't mind if just say, for example, the Good Brothers cut a promo looking right into the television. All right, then it goes right to Bob in the corner, and Bob in the corner has a limo pulling up, and getting out of the limo is the world champion, and the world champion just walks into the arena. I'm okay with that.
Yes,
but
of course, yeah.
Enough of the backstage acting stuff. That has to stop.
This is we have our fun with fantasy booking, but to me, this is the part that's actually interesting. Is I think so much time is dedicated to who should wrestle who. I am more interested at this point in my fandom of like the way stuff's presented and formatted. Like, there's a lot of sameness in wrestling, I think. And to me, this is just my opinion. I'm not speaking for Machine Gun Carl Anderson here, but if you're not Raw or SmackDown, I see no reason to format your show like Raw or SmackDown.
Well, and there's Joe Hulbert. Joe, have you checked out the Talking Shop Network at all?
I had a glance here. I was very excited you had a website. I said that to you before we went live here. But they got a website.
And it's world famous goodbrothers.com. Is that not amazing?
Yeah. That's my favorite. When the Noah announcer says world famous Good Brothers, I laugh every single time. Yeah.
Oh, it's the great world famous goodbrothers.com. You get the Talking Shop. Talking Shop drops Wednesdays a.m. You got the Talking Shop recap, which drops on Fridays. You got an amazing sports show. I mean, they had athletes from when I was a kid. That drops on Thursdays, called In the Front Row. You got the Bump and Feed podcast with Emerson, who sounds like hell yeah, man, because he comes from somewhere way down in Georgia. I mean, a total country brother. You got Cabana Boy, who is called the Cabana Boy for reasons I don't know. And then Cade Gallows' son, it hops on there, and they have their opinions all over pro wrestling. There was the Grunt Gang, Joe. I don't know if you know much about the Grunt Gang. They had a podcast.
Familiar. Yes, very familiar. Yeah.
The Grunt Gang had their own podcast, but they had an implosion on the end.
Happens.
It was Daniel Dominguez, Big Mel, Tony the Fall Down Man, and Darren. They got famous like the Beatles, and they broke up. And I've had to welcome to wrestling is one of our newest signees. Evan runs that show. They talk wrestling. It's just brothers. They're all Good Brother fans that have their own spin of wrestling. They have their shows on the Talking Shop Network. We've signed the Blade to Cutting It Up with the Blade. He's gonna be going in studio with Gallows and doing those. A lot of big stuff coming, Joe. And then me and you are coming in with something hot. We're filming from the studio again this weekend, and I'm gonna say, I gotta just announce it. We're gonna have Teddy Long live in studio. And I got a feeling Gallows is going to be rolling a lot of CBD for him down there. I said, Gallows, are you allowed to smoke CBD in the studio in the basement where your wife lives? He goes, well, yeah, man. She'll just come down. I'll blame it on Teddy. I said, good. That's good idea. Good point. Good idea.
Teddy Long, that's a hell of a guest. Hell of a guest.
We saw Teddy Long, we saw Robert Hoot Gibson, we saw Tatanka, we saw Jillian Hall, we saw the Godfather, who's a great fan of Talking Shop, friend of Talking Shop. Corbin, Kentucky was awesome. Kyle Maggard runs a hell of a show at AMW. The fans in Corbin, Kentucky were absolutely amazing. Before the lockup, before the bell rang with FTR, a nice "This is awesome" chant, "This is wrestling" chant. The fans enjoyed it. It was a good time. Wrestling is thriving. Wrestling is beautiful. I'm taking this weekend off. Gallows has 3 shows. I said, leave me out of it. I want nothing to do with it. Nothing. And my return is I'm going somewhere in Alabama, somewhere else. I don't know where I got to go. But most importantly, guys, Talking Shop Live, Windjammer IOP, Windjammer IOP.com for tickets. Come see the boys live. What is Talking Shop Live? Fuck, we don't even know. Is it comedy? Is it a podcast? I don't know. Is it stand-up? Is it like a backstage acting? I don't know. Who knows? Joe, for the late night grin, you want to say anything about it, where to find them?
Just a couple quick things here.
Please.
Last week, we had a video with Dax Harwood, who you just shared the ring with, which was very, very cool. Talking about NXT from a decade ago. And also on Friday, LNG is turning 5 years old. So we're celebrating that on Friday, which should be very, very fun. So yeah, a couple plugs there for me.
Well, I had so much fun talking to you, I forgot that. Well, first off, congratulations. Congratulations on that, and for all the times that I forgot to hit this. I love the sound. I love that. I do the soundtrack better than anybody else. I forget that I have this beautiful fucking soundtrack with my thing here. But well, happy birthday, happy anniversary, happy everything, Joe. I appreciate you for taking the time to come in here and talk to the Talking Shop people. Dan and Ren, I appreciate the recap. You got to listen to that one, Joe. I think you're going to enjoy the recap.
Some Hulbert putovers. Is that what
there's Hulbert putovers.
Oh,
there's Dan. Dan and Ren are just full wrestling fans. They're Sour Boy fans. They're AEW fans. I mean, they come from. They're Talking Shop fans. So it's all we ever asked.
Yeah,
all we ever asked from anybody was just recap Talking Shop, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah. And
then everybody starts doing their own podcast. I said, that's fine. I want a podcast. Just give me a recap. And then they start talking about their lives. I said, you know what? I need someone to give me a recap, for fuck's sakes,
Well, you got it, brother. You got it.
Yeah, I finally got it. So for everyone on the Talking Shop Network, I appreciate it. Joe, thanks for coming in here. I appreciate you, babe.
All good.
Talking Shop goodbrothers@gmail.com. We'll get to the emails next week. Enjoy.